So what's going on with the White House ballroom? So, as I'm sure many of you have seen, the east wing of the White House has basically been all torn down. And this is like an excavator tearing through it, pulling all of it apart. Look at that. Um, Here's another one. You can see all the pile of rubble that's been left over. And here's a good aerial shot of it. You can really see this is before and then after. Like this whole section, it's basically gone. It looks like basically half of it has been demolished right there, which is honestly like it's kind of crazy to see. I never honestly thought I would see that before, but here we are. And I want to talk about why I don't think this is a good thing. Um, so I know people will say that this ballroom is not funded by taxpayers and it's funded by private investors instead. But what I want to emphasize is that's honestly even worse because it's all just about corruption, right? The people who donate to his ballroom fund will then get something from Trump in return. That's why they're doing it. It's a transaction. And so I want to look at this article. Who is paying for Trump's $250 million ballroom and what might they get in return? So here's a list of which companies are contributing. We have, Amazon, Apple, Caterpillar, Coinbase, Comcast, Hard Rock International, Google, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Meta. It goes on and on and on. And they're doing this because they're getting something out of it, right? Just like how when Jimmy Kimmel was canceled because Trump didn't like his coverage of his ballroom, and because Trump didn't like that, ABC fired him because ABC's parent company, Nexstar, is trying to merge with the company Tegna, and if they get on Trump's good side, maybe he'll reward them by letting them merge, and then that's further monopolize the market and make more profit for themselves. Yeah, that's why honestly I think that is just not a good thing. It's just so blatant, out in the open corruption, and another one is because it's this like functions as like a loss of a historic and like national symbol, right? Like growing up, you learn about the White House and it's like where the president lives, but it's also the people's house, right? But what Trump is doing is very much his own doing, right? I don't recall the American people ever wanting to see a giant ballroom built in the White House, but Trump sure does, and he's destroying it. And we don't necessarily have that many like major symbols like that. I guess we have the Statue of Liberty, Liberty Bell, and various monuments, but like the White House is one of the is one like national thing that you think of when you think of the U.S. You think of the White House, and really no other president has destroyed this before. I know people will say other presidents have made alterations to the White House, and that's true. People have added more, and I think we have part of this article here. How has construction changed the White House over the years? So presidents have added to the White House since its construction began in 1792. Thomas Jefferson added east and west colonnades. Andrew Jackson built a north portico. James Monroe added the original mansion that was rebuilt after the British burned it down, so he rebuilt it. Theodore Roosevelt added the west wing. Franklin Roosevelt added the east wing. So they're adding stuff to it, right? Like, they're not fundamentally destroying huge sections of it to build like a personalized ballroom. They're adding to it, they're improving things. But this, I mean, you could sort of argue this but you have to acknowledge this level of destruction and demolition to it is completely different than what's happened before. And it's also not even being done legally. Can Trump build a ballroom? He's moving ahead with construction despite the lack of sign-off from the National Capital Planning Commission, the executive branch agency that has jurisdiction over construction and major renovations to government buildings in the region. So he's doing it despite the lack of sign-off. Like this, it has to be done legally if you're going to do it too, because it is a historic building. He's not doing abiding by that, and of course not. He just breaks the law and he gets to get away with it. Trump has named a top White House aide, Will Sheriff, to lead the commission. Sheriff has made a distinction between demolition work and rebuilding, saying the commission only has jurisdiction over the latter, so only jurisdiction over rebuilding. But isn't that what's going to happen after you demolish it? I don't know. Think about that. And this also functions as a major sign that Trump doesn't want to leave after his second term ends. in January 2029, because you don't do major renovations to your house if you're about to move out, right? You don't get all new appliances and then leave. You do it because you intend to stay there for a while. And why would he spend all this time and money demolishing the East Wing and then constructing the ballroom if he doesn't want to be there for more than just this one term? Because it's going to take a while to build this ballroom back. It's much easier to demolish a building than it is to build a new one. And considering the size and luxuriousness of it, it kind of gives the impression it's going to take a while to build it, right? And if it's not going to be built for a while, if it's a lot of resources going into it, he probably wants to get what his money's worth and time's worth for it, which means he might intend to stay for more than one term. And another big reason about this is just because, why I don't like it is just because right now the money is just needed elsewhere. The government's been shut down. Workers are going without pay, and some of them still have to work, even if they're not getting paid. And then in addition to that, next month, this is late October right now, but next month in November, people are going to lose their SNAP benefits, and 12% of the country is on that. Now, 12% of the country will now have a harder time buying food, but Trump has all this money for the ballroom. So that's just two examples at the top of my head. Like, we could use it to pay federal workers who, because are affected by the government shutdown, and we can also use it to continue funding SNAP benefits. I think that's a whole lot better use than this ballroom. Let me find a picture of what the ballroom will look like. I'll do White House ballroom plans. No, yeah, okay. Here's like, and then of course it's like, you know, Trump's idea of luxury is just gold, straight gold, everything, and it's just like, honestly, kind of like gives me like Palace of Versailles impressions. And of course, like this is just like the rendering of it. Who knows how it's actually going to turn out? Let's look up Versailles. Is that how you spell it? Amazing, I can actually do it. See, it kind of has that like gold impression too. The thing though is with Versailles, it's hundreds of years old, and it was like the mansion, or like the what do you even call it? The palace. Yeah, it was a palace, and it kind of like it. I guess it makes that was the style of the day, but this just comes across as gaudy in the modern day. Anyway, those are my reasons why I don't think this this ballroom is such a great idea, because it leads to corruption. It's the loss of a historic American symbol, and no president should, you know, destroy this much this quickly without permission. It's a sign he may not want to leave after his term ends, and it's because we just need to spend the money elsewhere, right? People are struggling, and that's what I got today. If you liked it, like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.